Like you said, this has been a long campaign thing. As you're winding this down, and as people come to go to the polls tomorrow, what has sort of stuck out to you about the people, the places you've been, and the people you've talked to these last several months?
Well, we've seen a definite movement among people who were previously undecided in our favor. And so we've been communicating with as many people like that as we possibly can, of course, trying to make sure everybody goes to the polls. So we're coming into Election Day peaking, we believe, at the right time. So we're very, very, very encouraged.
Well, you haven't been shy this campaign. You're talking about how you feel like Doug Jones has sort of been a detriment to the state. From your perspective, since taking office, I guess, how has Alabama sort of fared since he's been in office, and how do you feel like you can change that?
Well, I think he's basically a zero in terms of doing things for the state of Alabama and doing a very poor job in actually voting the way people in Alabama want. So, number one, I'm going to make sure that I vote the way people in Alabama want. Doug Jones is not doing that. But number two, the job of the senator is more than just voting right. It's actually standing up and doing things for your state. It may be highway projects, it may be working on military installations, whatever. And I don't think Doug's done a very good job with that. I know I will, because I'm doing that right now as a member of the House.
Now, all the other candidates and yourself, a big part of it has been sort of like how you feel like you can, carry over the administration's, agendas and things like that. But as you know, what's good for one part of the country may not be good for another. Like, from your perspective, what do you feel like are the biggest issues facing Alabama? What can you do to sort of?
Well, I'll tell you what voters tell me.
Yeah.
They're very concerned about immigration security on the southern border. They don't want amnesty for people that come here illegally. They're very concerned about access to health care and cost of health care. And they're concerned about the national security situation generally. So those are areas that I already have a pretty strong track record on. And I'm going to take that track record and that experience and what I know about those issues to the United States Senate.
From what the polls look like now, it seems like there's sort of a tie, not a tie, but it's pretty neck to neck in a lot of ways. From your perspective, or maybe, obviously, you have a long track record of state politics, but for people who may not know who Bradley Byrne is, what would you tell them about sort of why you're sort of the clear-cut choice for this particular race?
Because I have a proven track record of fighting for the conservative values that they care so much about. I stood up for President Trump and his agenda the whole time that he's been in office. I voted with him 97% of the time. I was one of his key warriors in the House of Representatives last year during impeachment, so much so that he invited me to the White House for the celebration and called me out by name and thanked me. There were only about a dozen of us that were there. So I think people can look at the track record and know more about somebody than anything else. Lots of people will talk a good game. I've got a record of actually delivering on it.
Now, say you're elected to the Senate, what do you feel like would be one of the first issues that you would want to tackle in office?
Well, I think being true to what the voters want to be immigration. But I'll tell you the other thing I hear a lot from voters about, they want to do something about term limits. They don't like people that stay up there a long time. I already have a bill in the House on that. I'll introduce a similar bill in the Senate.
Anything else you'd like to add?
Can't think of anything. Go vote.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, good.